Happy Saturday, everyone. What we got coming your way is a good time. It's a nice little chipper. We got a nice set number. We're gonna work through it and have a good time. So, let's talk about our warm-up. Our warm-up's gonna consist of a dynamic triangle, 3 to 5 a side. Sumo good morning to sumo squat for 3 to 5. Down dog to side plank for 6 alternating. Plank lean, 6 to 10 alternating. Then we're gonna finish off the forearm plank hold to bring it all together for 20 to 30 seconds. You're gonna hit that for 2 rounds. Then you're gonna move into the next phase, which is gonna be a tempo jump squat. So it's a little more control on the jump squat than we're probably used to, but we're gonna work for that and build that skill on that deceleration on that squat. We have 3 reps at a 3-second eccentric, so we'll talk about that in our work set as we get going. Then we're gonna work on our Humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps, prone shoulder raise for 6 to 10 alternating reps, and then our laying arm extension for 6. Just gives us a chance to really attack those shoulders and get things fired up. 2 rounds of work there, and then we're gonna move into the work set and to our practice round that I'll have listed on the bottom of the workout description for you. Now with our work set, we have a jump squat of 60, push-up for 60, jump lunge for 60, alternating, and a plank up down for 60. So we got a big number, so you're gonna have to break these things down, and that's okay. Mostly breaking down those push-ups and those plank up downs. The jump squat or squat, jump lunge or lunge is going to be the one that you can kind of keep pushing a little longer in the bigger sets, but those upper body exercises will definitely have to be taken down in smaller sets, and that's fine. One time through, have some fun with this. I'm going to have some other stuff on the workout description for options for these movements, so check that out. Make sure we make this workout ours and have some fun with that. Let's warm you up. Let's get you ready. Have some fun today. Alright, you guys, let's get ourselves moving around. Let's get those arms big and tall overhead. We're just going to shrug those shoulders up and then find our neck, and then we're going to reach over to one side. We're going to come back up and over, reach to the other side. Oh, we're going to come back to center and forward fold. We're going to touch our toes. We're going to walk up the shins, nice flat back. We'll come down, frame a foot as we step back into that lizard with a nice square hip. Pushing that knee forward, pressing that heel back. We'll take that inside hand to the sky. We'll bend at the elbow and reach straight ahead and pull back. We'll reach straight ahead and pull back and straight ahead and pull back. We're going to reach it up. We'll plant the hand. We're going to take the outside hand up to the sky. Big stretch. And we'll plant that hand down and step back into our down dog. We're just going to set those shoulders. We're going to walk our heels back and forth. Nice and gentle. Nice and solid. Just waking up our feet from yesterday. We'll come back into our plank. Step the other foot up into our lizard. Inside hand's going to reach to the sky. We're going to bend at the elbow. We're going to reach straight ahead. Pull back. Straight ahead. Pull back. And straight ahead. Reach up, plant that hand, take the outside hand up, big stretch, plant that hand down, step it back into that down dog, reaching those hips, and walk those heels again. Just again, awaken up the calves and ankles after yesterday's little adventure. And then we'll come back into our plank, pressing through those arms. Let's tiptoe those feet up. We'll roll ourselves up, big stretch overhead, big reach. Big reach. We'll bring those hands down. Whew. And we'll get you guys fired up and ready to go. So, pause the video if you'd like to take down any extra kind of warm up for yourself. Take your time, play with that, and then come along with me for our first phase of warm up. All right, you guys, let's get ourselves moving around. Let's get our feet into our sumo stance. We're going to turn a toe and turn a toe. So one toe points straight to the side. The other toe was on an angle, and our hips are on a nice angle as well, getting ourselves set up for that hinge. So we're going to plant our hand in the thigh. We're going to take our arm up to the ceiling. We're going to lock that shoulder into place. And as we pull back, we're going to pull that hip back into that nice hinge, and then slowly trace that shin down as deep as you feel comfortable. You want to come back up the same way, staying balanced through the feet and reaching the arm up to the ceiling. So pulling the hip back, we get that nice hinge, and then we continue traveling down the shin as we go. Coming back up and standing tall. Turning those feet, we transition to the other side, but again, focusing on making sure those feet are set up good distance and proper distance for our body, or else as we pull into that hinge, we're gonna feel a little jammed up and locked up. So make sure our feet are a decent width, roughly about that sumo stance. Because we're gonna use that sumo stance as well on our next phase. So I'm gonna turn sideways in profile so you guys can see my hip position and my angle. My feet are in the same stance I just had them in the sumo. We're gonna work on setting the ribs and glutes so I have a neutral pelvis, and then we're gonna pull the hip back, getting that nice hinge. So my big toes stay flat, nice and solid through the midfoot, and I'm gonna stand up nice and tall. Then from here, I'm gonna transition into a sumo squat. So I push the knees out just a little bit so the knees track the toe. I execute that beautiful squat mechanic of drawing the hip to the heel and trying to keep that chest up as high as I can. The big thing with that sumo squat, we want to make sure that we're pushing the knees out a little bit more than we normally would in a squat so the knees track the toes. We don't need those big toes pulling off the floor. Keep the big toes down, but keep those knees following that toe line. So again, we draw back into the good morning, focusing on that good back position, feeling the hamstrings, setting, and then drawing down into that good squat. Pushing through those legs and standing tall. And we'll take that through nice and smooth for 3 to 5 reps, working on our positions and working on maintaining a good body position the entire time. From here, we're gonna work our down dog to side plank. And this is kind of a funky movement. We'll talk to you guys about this different ways. So we're gonna get set up into our plank, hands just outside our shoulders. My feet are gonna have enough space that I can kind of keep them bladed so that there's room. So from here, I'm gonna push through the shoulders, pull the ribs in. I'm gonna pull back into my down dog, reaching those hips super high, setting those shoulders and setting that good upper back. As I come into my plank, I'm gonna rotate, pushing through that balancing arm, opening up into that side plank with those feet nice and bladed. So now that I come back, I rotate, bring the arm down, I can push back into that down dog, holding that position strong, and then as I come through, rotating, pushing through this balancing arm, feet stay bladed, I open into that side, and I come back into that down dog again. And I'm gonna rotate back and forth, flowing from side plank to down dog, making sure I'm always pushing through that arm. Now, a couple things with this. If you're not quite comfortable doing a full side plank, what we can do is a supported side plank. So we set up in our plank first. So our nice normal plank here. I'm gonna pull back into my down dog. Now as I come through, I'm gonna come down into my plank, dropping a knee down, rotating that foot to the side, and then opening into my side plank, reaching. And as I come through, I can lift that knee, pull back into that down dog, and then as I come through on the other side, I can lower that knee, rotate into that side plank, and have a little bit more support for that side plank if needed. So play with that a little bit, see how it feels. There's nothing wrong with dropping that knee for a little bit of support because it's that side plank position, that pressure through this single arm that we're after, keeping it nice and active. So set yourself up for whatever allows you to take that down. After that, we're gonna move into a full plank, and we're gonna work a plank lean. So we're gonna work on shifting our weight back and forth. So our hands are just outside our shoulders. I'm pulling my ribs in, pushing my shoulders up, so I'm nice and set in my plank. I'm gripping the floor with my hands. I'm gonna keep my arms straight as I shift my weight to the side, and then come through and shift my weight to the other side. I'm just gonna take it over enough that I can maintain my position, and I'm gonna work on keeping those arms straight and those shoulders in that slightly protracted position. So I wanna make sure that I'm pushing the floor away the entire time I lean and lean, and that's gonna help bring engagement through the lats, through the abs, through the midsection, all the way down to the feet, maintaining a nice stable plank position. So play with that. Again, we have 6 to 10 reps. If you need to do a couple reps, reset, rest a bit, a couple more reps, please do so. We're looking for strong position here. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself a little break in between reps. Maybe doing a cat-cow, scat push-up, who knows, just something to move around a little bit before moving into the other After that, we have a forearm plank hold. So we're just going to bring it all together. We're going to bring those elbows down to the floor, elbows stacked under the shoulder. We're going to push those arms into the ground, step our feet back into our plank, pulling those ribs in. So we're going to pull the sternum to the belly button, and we're going to actively push the floor away and maintain that good hearty plank. Now, holding this forearm plank can be quite challenging. So if you need to, you can lower the knees down, still maintaining that good position, just with those knees down for support. What that's going to do is take a little pressure off the arms, but it's still going to fire up the core. So you're not going to get a lot of reprieve in the midsection, but it will take a little stress off the shoulder. So if you need to drop the knees down, please do so for the beginning or midway through if you want to try and spend some more time with time under tension. As a quick recap, we have a dynamic triangle of 3 to 5 aside, Sumo good morning to Sumo squat for 3 to 5 reps, down dog to side plank for 6 alternating reps, plank lean 6 to 10 alternating reps, and a forearm plank hold of 20 to 30 seconds. You'll hit that up for 2 rounds, and then we're going to move into the next phase, which is going to get a little bit more explosive and work on some more jumping skills. So pause the video, take down that first piece, get those shoulders, get that core ready. We're going to start moving a little bit more dynamically. All right, our next phase of work is going to kickstart off with some tempo jump squats. So if you'd like to start this off with some air squats as well, you can, or a varying degree of the jump squat. So we have 3 versions of the jump squat. But today what we're going to focus on is a 3-second eccentric. So a 3-second down. Regardless of what style you choose, you're going to have that 3-second down. So we're going to set ourselves up in our kind of regular squat stance. So somewhere between the hip to shoulder width apart. Toes are slightly turned out just for that nice comfort position. Now with this, that 3-second negative is going to be on the down. So we're going to pull the hips to the heels, keeping those knees trapped in the toes. So unlike the sumo squat, we just need a little bit of pressure out so those knees continue to track the toes and not push them too far out like we did in the sumo, where they were pull the big toe off the floor. So we take it down. Variation number 1 is our air squat with the tempo. So we take it down, 3, 2, 1, and then we push. And we stand a little bit more aggressive, or whatever your body can handle at this moment in time. So we just work on that nice smooth air squat with an eccentric. The other variation we have is a non-jumping jump squat. So we get that nice tempo, 3, 2, 1, we drive up, and 3, 2, 1, drive up, and 3, 2, 1. So we're working on that pull down being controlled. So we're going to drive through the legs and the hips, coming onto those toes, and as we pull into that squat again, we're going to decelerate, working on that slow squat down. It's challenging, all right? So don't beat yourselves up if you're like, it was only 2 seconds, or oh, I forgot on that one. That's okay. Work for it. Help that body out. It's going to really help train that deceleration for jumping, for squatting, everything. Our last variation is very similar to that one, except we're going to leave the ground. So we're going to get set up in that squat, 3 seconds down, that good drive, and 3 seconds down. Big drive, and 3 seconds down. So we're allowing ourselves to get a little air with that leg and hip extension, but then controlling the descent with that 3-second eccentric. Again, if this is a challenging thing to do, if jumping or the jump squat is really tough, all right, that's okay. This is going to be a little more tough in terms of that mental side of things and pulling into that slow bottom position. Work it, have fun with it. It's a skill that we're going to learn over time. Our next exercise, we pop onto our stomach. We're going to stay here for the next 3 exercises. So we get ourselves in the bottom of our push-up position. So our hands are underneath of our shoulders, underneath of our elbows, and our hands are just outside shoulder width. I'm going to pull my shoulders forward to where I don't want them in my push-up, and I'm going to pull the shoulders back to where I do. I'm going to pull the ribs and hips in, and I'm going to push up to my knees. In this position, pulling my ribs in, maintaining this hollow, I'm going to lower forward and down, keeping that body in good position. So again, shoulders forward where I don't want them, setting them in the back and down position where I do, ribs and hips, push into that good push-up, and then maintaining that good tension, lowering to the bottom of that tripod in that push-up. So we're trying to maintain that 45-degree angle at the elbow, at the armpit, creating that nice stable shoulder position. Now pushing through that position, we want to come slightly forward and down so we create that tripod through the head and the hands. So take the time. If you need to regain tension at the top of the push before you come down, take a breath, reset, and then work that eccentric or that lowering phase. Our next two exercises are going to be on our stomachs. We're going to bring our toes together, our arms come out nice and straight, and our eyes are going to be down towards the floor. Our nose is going to be pretty close to the floor, but it doesn't have to touch. We're going to squeeze our toes together, we're going to press them into the ground, squeeze our glutes and pull our ribs and hips in. Armpits are going to press down, palms are going to press down, and then from here, feeling that tension, that engagement, we're going to lift our right arm up off the floor. Then we're going to lower the hand down, push the arm into the floor, lift that other arm up off the ground. Then we're going to press the hand down and feel that tension again. We're just going to alternate back and forth, working for 6 to 10 reps. Now with this, again, the height of the lift is not overly important. What's important is maintaining our good core position as we lift the arms. So don't feel bad or challenged if the fingers don't come off the ground, or if you're like, I can't get my arm off the ground. That's okay. We're working on that skill, we're building that as we go, and it's going to be a challenging movement as we maintain and focus on the core. Now the next movement is still in that same position, but our hands come down to the side. My shoulders are back and set, my ribs and hips pull in, and I'm going to press my hands up to the sky with straight arms, and then come down. Same focus as our pro shoulder raise in maintaining that rib position. So we're always trying to maintain this nice set hollow and strong ribs so we're not breaking as I lift my hands up off the floor. So listen to your core position. That's going to dictate how high those hands go. We don't want to go to the point where we break. We want to make sure we keep that nice and set and just let the arm move to its range that we can control. As a quick recap for this, we have our tempo jump squat, 3 at 3 seconds. We have a humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps. Prone shoulder raise, 6 to 10 alternating reps, focusing on core position. And our laying arm extension for 6, again, focusing on our core position. Not worrying about the height of the arms, worrying about this as our primary focus. 2 rounds of that, and then we're going to move ourselves into a practice round that I'll have listed on the bottom of the workout description. Check that out, work it. If you want to tweak it and change it for you, please do so. But we're going to get you going through those movements in our workout and have some fun today. We've got ourselves prepped and ready. We're all good to go. All right, now it's time to tackle the movements in the workout. So we have a couple options here. So our workout today starts with some jump squats or some air squats. So you can work on this with an air squat or one of the variations of our jump squat that we went over. The only kicker is we're going to get rid of the tempo, okay? So the 3 variations you can play with, all right? Nice smooth air squat, all right? So working on that skill of drawing the hips to the heels, keeping those knees track the toes, and standing in that full extension. We can also work on our non-jumping jump squat. So we're working on that acceleration and deceleration of the legs as we work through that little lift. And our final variation is that jump squat. So we work on maintaining our stance as we leave the ground. So our feet should land in the same place they took off from as we work through those jump squats. Our next movement is our push-up. All right, so we have a couple variations of our push-up. But if you've been working on a chair, an ottoman, a countertop, keep doing that, keep building that skill. I'm going to show our 3 from the floor that we use to build that push-up. So our first variation is our full toe push-up. I get set up in my plank, press the shoulders through, and I'm going to try and work through those humeral glide points of performance. I'll come forward and down, touching my chest, and pressing, maintaining that good position. My goal here is that nice stacked elbow coming into my tripod, and then pushing through, maintaining a tight body position from head to toe. Now the next variation is if we got the lower with control, but we don't have the push yet, we're going to lower our knees into our press. Tricky point about this one is maintaining tension as we lower the knees. So as we get going, I get myself set in that good plank, I come down, touch, my knees touch, I press, and I straighten. So I maintain that hollow position, and I push into my knee push-up, but I lower through my toes. So we want to make sure the chest is leading the show. My knees come down just to assist in my push portion. But we have to make sure we don't disengage when we touch the knees down. Harder than you think, actually. Because as soon as our knees touch, our body goes, oh yes, okay. But we have to stay tight and focused. Our last variation is our knee push-up. But we're going to start our sets establishing our plank. So we set up through the big plank on our hands. We drop our knees straight down, maintaining our knee plank. And now from here, we lower forward and down, creating the tripod, and working through that nice push-up. Maintaining our core position and maintaining the elbow stacked over the wrist. Now, we have some big numbers in this workout, so if you have to break those knee push-ups down, please do so. But make sure when you set up for your next set, we start in that full toe plank, drop the knees, make sure we're set in a good knee plank position, and then start your push-ups. Very, very important. With these push-ups in this workout, my suggestion full on is to make sure you save a couple in the tank and don't go to failure in these push-ups because you have a big set of them. So make sure you're keeping yourself able to recover throughout this big set. Now our next exercise, we come back to the legs. We're going to work our jumping lunge or lunge. So a couple things today with the jump lunge. The jump lunge is very similar to the squat. We step, we lower, and now as we come up, jump, switch, switch, switch. And we work on that foot switch from that step, okay? If you're looking at that going, whoa, 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 lunging is hard enough for me as it is, then lunge. Don't worry about the jump. Set yourself up in a good position, tight, strong, step, lower, maintain those positions, and focus on your body mechanics of the lunge. You can go forward, you can go backwards, but I want you to work on building the skill of the lunge. Now, if you're still looking at me going, Dave, lunging, oh, it kills me, all right? You can also play around with a standing lunge option. So we set ourselves up in our 50-50 stance, nice and tall, and we work that split position. And I work on coming up and working on down. So I'm working on building the strength, the body position, and the mechanics of that lunge with a stable stance. So I don't have to worry about finding the distance, the length. I can just worry about the tension and the down and up portion of that lunge. So lots of options there. I'll have a couple more on the bottom of the workout description for you guys to play with and experiment with in this work set. But don't feel you have to do the jump lunge if lunging is one of those things that's super challenging. After that, we have our plank up downs, and these are kind of fun. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in our forearm plank. Okay, and I'm gonna face the camera for this so you guys can see from the front, and then I'll do a couple from the side. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get our elbow under our shoulder, establish our good forearm plank, nice and tight. And from here, I'm going to shift my weight, come up on the one hand, up on the other hand, that's half a rep, and then back down and back down. So I'm working on moving into my full plank, moving into my down. So again, from the side, my elbows are down in that good forearm plank. I shift a bit, hand comes under, elbow, elbow. And I'm trying to maintain that good plank position. Now, if you're looking at that going, whoa, okay, toe planks are really tough for me. What about the knees? What about the knees? We can use this from the knees. So what we're gonna do, again, like the push-ups, if we're working this from the knees, we're gonna establish first our full forearm plank. We'll drop the knees, so we're maintaining that good hollow. I'll shift, hand into my knee plank. Lower, lower. And I can do this from my knee plank. Okay, so you can play around with that as it takes a little bit of stress off the arms, allowing you to work on that up-down. I'll also have a couple different options for that up-down in the workout description, so please check those out. If you're looking at those, you're like, oh, that's a little tough for me. We'll have another option for you that will still work on that upper body and that core engagement. So, as a quick recap on this work set, we have 60 jump squats, we have 60 push-ups, 60 alternating jump lunges, total count, and plank up downs, 60 alternating reps as well, working on that up and down nice and steady. Break these reps down. Make sure we're focusing on good quality movement and save a few reps in the tank so we don't go to failure on any of these movements. Because remember, we want to make sure that we can do a nice chunk of work, recover well, more chunk of work, recover well, and take each movement down as is. It's a nice chipper for a good Saturday, so let's have some fun, and we'll see where it takes us today. As always, everyone, work for quality, have a ton of fun. We'll see you on Monday for another week of fun program. Bye, you guys.